Hey y'all, how's it going? Welcome back. It's Mia, and today we are discussing The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 2. Thank you guys for being patient in between my uploads. It's just one of those weeks where you gotta get your life together, and so anyway, I just wanted to come back and discuss this next episode of The Mandalorian because, oh my goodness, thank you God, I'm on my hands and knees in prayer and in celebration because this was a better episode. I was so afraid of the direction of The Mandalorian Season 3 after last week's episode because it was just so underwhelming. And so I am super glad that they picked up the pace this time. And I always make the argument, when people say you shouldn't judge a season by the first episode, I get it. The episode should still be strong. But now I kind of get it just because I'm happy that they picked it up in the second episode. Now, what I think is interesting with the direction of how they're taking the season, again, we're only 2 episodes in, I honestly thought that Mando would be going on a journey to go find, originally his plan was like, okay, I've got to go find some parts or a part or whatever to put IG-11 back together. And then I'm going to bring him along with me so we can go down to the Mines of Mandalore. And then he can get his redemption, whatever he wants out of that. So I was very surprised to see, number one, they kind of cut that corner and they were like, okay, well, we don't need IG-11. We'll just take this droid that Pelimoto is going to give him. And then number 2, he makes it down to the mines in the first place and gets to, I guess for the most part, he gets to have his ritual bath. So it's like, oh, wow. We're really moving things along here. And I don't think that's bad. We can talk about where we think this is going towards the end, but I want to talk about some other points that I liked in this. So number 1, I thought it was pretty interesting that they put a large part of Din's rescue in Grogu's hands. So it's kind of interesting to see him come up on his own because apparently he's spent 2 years with Luke Skywalker, according to Jon Favreau, if that's what I believe is the new canon now. So he spent time with Luke Skywalker. He was at the Jedi Training Academy as a little Padawan, before Anakin wreaked havoc. So he's got training. He, I don't think if he was not capable of learning and being trained, he wouldn't have been in all those, he wouldn't have done the things that he's done that we know that he's done so far as Grogu, his upbringing. So I'm glad that they at least did put some of his training, not necessarily maybe to the test, but they got to have a payoff as far as what Baby Yoda can do. He's not just gonna be sitting back seat anymore. So I thought him going in his little pod and going to find Bo-Katan and kind of doing that whole thing, I thought that was apt for what Grogu could do. And what I also found funny, though, maybe this was just an odd coincidence, and hopefully this isn't too many spoilers if you watch The Last of Us or if you're not watching The Last of Us, but this past episode we actually had a parallel where Joel, played by Pedro Pascal, was kind of incapacitated. And so kind of like in The Mandalorian where we had Grogu going out, now we had Ellie going out to help Joel. And so I just kind of found those parallels to be interesting, that it was like, okay, it's time for you to leave the nest sort of episode. So that was, I think, both for The Last of Us, if I give one opinion about The Last of Us, I didn't cover that episode this week, I think they handled that pretty well, and Mandalorian did that pretty well too. Also, what I did like, Bo-Katan as a character, I never not liked her. I never also really liked her either. I think she's just a pretty decent character, but this episode won me over a lot. And really they showed she was a really good fighter. When she was down in that cave, she was not messing around. And honestly, it was refreshing to see a Mandalorian who knows how to fight and to hold their own, only because it feels like in the last couple of seasons with Mando season 2, Book of Boba Fett, and even the beginning of in that premiere episode for season 3, it's just been like the Mandalorians haven't been as exciting as they used to be, or at least Din, right? We always knew Din was awesome. He just knows how to, that first season he would go absolutely wild on you, and then in season 2 it was like he had fewer tricks up his sleeve. It didn't seem as cool, him being the gunslinger and all that. And then add on to that Boba Fett, who again, I get it, Tamir Morrison is older, he's not going to be as fast as, a younger person, but it just didn't seem, his combat seemed very weak, and it just wasn't as exciting. And like I said in the first episode, I don't know if I mentioned this, but just having those Mandalorians fight the giant crocodile alligator and them just like, being a bunch of bumbling idiots, I was like, what is going on here? So it was great to see Bo-Katan. I think that was really, really, that whole coordination with that fight was really well put together. So she went up some points on my list. And I will say another thing that I liked about Bo-Katan in this episode was just her, I don't know, her willingness to show Din around. She's really proud of her Mandalorian culture. I think, being of that royal line, royal blood, it means a lot to her, and especially as she was talking about, she really hates having all of the Mandalorians separated. So I think it was kind of nice for her. It was a good feeling for her to show Din down to the Civic Center, and she's like, oh, but before you do that, I want to read this plaque. I guess I can kind of relate, like, if anybody comes to Chicago or a place that I know, I'm like, oh, I gotta tell them about this, oh, I gotta tell them about that, because you just feel that sense of, I guess, hometown pride. So I could relate to Bo with that, and I don't know, I guess it shows overall her willingness. I think it does definitely show that she is happy to be back home and happy to start restoring Mandalore again, and that's gonna be fun. Now, by the time we get to those mystic waters down in the mine, I thought that was a scene that was really well done. I knew the moment he stepped his foot in that deep lake, in that cave, I was like, something's gonna happen. And like how I have my subtitles on, and what I hate is when you have subtitles on and you're reading them and you're kind of reading ahead of what they're saying, and you see that little dash and they're about to get cut off. I was like, I have a supremely strong feeling that is what's about to happen in this scene. Din is about to say whatever he's gonna say, and I'm gonna see that dash, he's gonna cut off, and something's gonna happen. So I paused that scene, I took subtitles off, and I was like, he's gonna say something, but I don't, if that happens, I don't want to know it ahead of time with the subtitles spoiling it like for a millisecond. So I turned that off. Lo and behold, he's saying his stuff, steps in, and then shoo, he gets pulled down underwater. And I really didn't know what I was expecting. I thought it was gonna be some kind of octopus or something. Just the Kraken is down there in the caves. I honestly didn't think it was gonna be a mythosaur. That was really awesome to see that. And I don't even like Mandalorian culture, like all that extended universe stuff. It was really too far ahead of my time anyway for me to go and read all that stuff. So just, I don't know, kind of at least knowing mythosaurs, Mandalore, and Bo-Katan even read some of that stuff too, just to get you guys up to speed on that little plaque. To me, it was still awesome to see that. I was like, my jaw was on the floor. I was like, oh my gosh, that was really, really cool. And now it makes me wonder, okay, what does that mythosaur represent? Because I feel like we can't just see that and leave it alone. And we've got some questions here that I've been wondering, like, okay, what does the mythosaur mean? Where does that leave us coming into the next few episodes? What are Din's motives going forward? Because he technically did accomplish what he needed to accomplish. Like, I thought it was going to take half a season. Apparently all he needed was a whole episode, and he's like, bam. So I'm guessing what's going to happen next is we're going to be moving into the whole reclaiming of Mandalore stuff. Now that he's done his ritual, that was just kind of a one-off thing. And I guess I take the mythosaur as a good omen, right? Like, Mandalore the Great was the first great conqueror to tame it, or however that legend goes, and now it's presenting itself in front of Din and Bo. Maybe this is making me reminiscent of House of the Dragon when they were hunting for the this is why I keep all my old notes from September. So, little House of the Dragon lore, right? It was the king was going hunting, celebrating the newborn son, and then he's got a daughter who's supposed to be the true heir to the throne of the king. Some people don't accept that, her being the ruler. And so they were going hunting, and they were looking for this really rare beast that's out in the woods. And so The daughter goes out on her own. The father finds some kind of beast and they hunt that and they call it a win. The daughter is off on her own one day or a little bit later, and that mythical beast presents itself to her, and it's kind of a symbolism as if, oh, you are the true ruler. So I don't know, that's just kind of something offhanded that I thought about, thinking like, I saw someone theorize that maybe Din and Bo-Katan would want to kind of co-rule Mandalore, and I think that would be a nice compromise. And really, Din, I mean, as the holder of the Darksaber, he really, I don't even know if he wants that power. Anyway, if he did, he would have been hunting it relentlessly like Bo-Katan after getting it, and he doesn't. So I think what's going to happen is, as these episodes go on, you know, they're going to have to come to some agreement. And I like that we ended this episode kind of with her rescuing him, but we didn't have a resolution to that build up. You know, they didn't get to talk about it. They didn't even get to talk about what they saw, what he did. We just kind of left it there. And now we're going to have to pick up on that in the next episode and see, I hope, fingers crossed, that they don't drop that. You know, we just have to unpack all of that, right, Bo? And didn't have to unpack all of that because Bo-Katan was originally ready to throw in the towel, but now that she sees that her planet is alive and well, there's mythosaurs everywhere, she's going to be really, I think she's really excited about the potential for that. I guess the big question here is who or what is going to get in their way of reclaiming this planet. It's going to be a big cleanup job because it's a mess over there, but I'm excited to see how they proceed with this. So I think that is all that I have to say about this. I do wonder still if IG-11 will show up because they teased it, and Taika Waititi needs his money. So I don't think they're quite done with IG just yet, but if they are, and if they just want to say, hey, let the past be the past, you know, let the past die, I would still love that because it was a noble sacrifice. But yeah, guys, let me know what you thought about this episode down in the comments below. Stick around for the next video. We'll be talking about The Bad Batch because they had a pretty banger episode, not gonna lie. And if you're watching The Last of Us, stick around for that because I will be recapping the finale episode. So be sure to subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like. Bye.